here, please go back. You can pause it. You can watch it as many times as you need to. So multi-step equations are as bad as they're going to get in 7th grade. They're kind of fun. This is where you have to make sure you look at the left side and the right side and simplify or combine like terms before you start removing what's furthest first. Because I see 2x's on the left side. Let me see if I can combine them. To combine them, I'm going to have to do the distributive property. If I do the distributive property, I better know what 2's sign is, and since it was subtraction, I'm going to change that subtraction to adding the opposite, which makes that subtracting a positive 2 the same as adding a negative 2. So I'm going to distribute through with a negative 2, and my next row is going to look like this. 4x has not been involved. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x, and negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. You could leave that minus 2x and minus 2, or you could say plus a negative 2x plus negative 2. Either is fine. I'm going to bring down my 6. Now I have like terms. I have the 4x and the negative 2x. 4x minus 2x or 4x plus negative 2x. Either way, you'll get 2x when you simplify. I brought the negative 2 straight down and the 6 straight down. Now at the two-step equation, I look at my variable. I need to remove what's furthest first, and it's the negative 2. So I'll be adding 2 to both sides. So negative 2 plus 2 goes away to 0, and I bring down the 2x. That's the only thing that's left on the left side. 6 plus 2 is 8. I see multiplication of a 2, so let me divide by 2 on both sides. 2 divided by 2 is 1x, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. You can check this. It's a little bit longer. You've got several things to plug in. So I have 4 times 4, 16, and then I have 2 times the quantity 4 plus 1, so that's 5. You can see that's going to be 16 minus 10 equals 6, and 6 equals 6. So it checks. Let's try another one. This time I don't have any parentheses, but I do see some like terms on each side. So let me look just at the left side. I have 4p plus p, which is going to give me, I can combine those, but I also have constants. I have negative 6 and negative 7. So I've changed my subtractions to adding the opposite. You don't have to, but if you want to be clear and not miss your sign, I think it's an okay step to do. So if I put my p's together, notice I have a ghost 1, so my 4p plus 1p should be 5p, and negative 6 plus negative 7 is negative 13. Now on the right side I had like terms also. 18 minus 13 is 5. But now it's a two-step equation. Find your variable, remove what's furthest first, so add 13 to both sides. If you simplify, you'll have 5p equals 18. 5p is being multiplied, so I'm going to divide by 5. So my final answer will be p equals 3 3/5. If you check this, I put 3 3/5 in for the quantity p. Everywhere there's a p, I put 3 3/5. And if you simplify this with your calculator, it might be a little faster. You're just trying to make sure the left side is equivalent to the right side. And when I get down to 5 equals 5, there's no doubt. Let's go to 2m minus 1/2 times the quantity 4m minus 8 plus 5m equals 2 1/10 minus 13. So if you just look at the left side and start work on it, I'm going to change all my subtractions to addition and remind myself I have to do the distributive property. So my 2m is not involved, so I do the negative half times 4m, and that's negative 2m. Negative half times negative 8 would be positive 4. The 5m is not involved. And on the right side, I have 2 1/10 plus negative 13, and that's negative 10 9/10. On the left side, I've got several like terms, but something's very interesting. Do you see you have 2m plus negative 2m? That value of 2m plus negative 2m is going to be 0. And I'll be left with just 4 plus 5m equals negative 10 9/10. So I need to get m alone. I remove what's furthest first, which is the 4. The sign in front of the 4 is positive, so I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. On the left side, that leaves me with 5m. On the right side, that leaves me with negative 14 and 9/10. To undo the 5 times the m, we can divide. If you divide both sides by 5, on the left side I'll have 1m equals, and on the right side I'll have negative 2 and 98/100. That's the value of m. If you plug negative 2 and 98/100 every place there's a m in the original equation, you should end up with the left side equal to the right side. Okay, I have some for you to try. I have 5 minus k equals negative 6, and I have negative 8 equals the difference of m and 3 divided by 4. So if you want to pause this and try these on your own, I think that's a good plan. And then you can jump back in if you have a question or if you just want to check your answer. Okay, if you're ready to check your answer, I'm going to draw my wall where the equals sign is, and I need to get rid of the 5 because it's the only thing on that left side that I see. There's something else that's going to appear. I subtract 5 because the sign in front of 5 was not visible, and that means it's positive. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Notice it was not squished to the k, so I knew they weren't multiplied. So if you subtract 5 from both sides, you'll have negative k equals negative 11. Now realize the negative goes with the ghost that I don't see, so it's really a negative 1k. So how do you get the k alone? Divide both sides by negative 1, and you'll have k equals 11. And number 2, I need to get m alone, but I have a 3 and a 4 that are messing it up. So I remove what's furthest first, and it's the 4. 4 is in the denominator, which lets me know that it's really a 1/4. The 1's in the numerator. That quantity, the difference of m and 3, you can think of that as a quantity in parentheses. So there'd be a 1 outside that parentheses to make that 1/4. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of 1/4, which is 4 over 1. Be sure you do it to both sides of the equation to maintain the equality. So on the left side, 4 times negative 8 is negative 32, and on the right side, your 4's will divide out. You have a 4 in the numerator and a 4 in the denominator. So the only thing that's left on the right side is the quantity m minus 3. Negative 32 is what I get when I multiply 4 times negative 8 again. I need m alone, so to get rid of the subtracted 3, I can add 3 to both sides. And if I do, the left side's going to be negative 29. The m stayed on the right side all the way down. I didn't jump it to the left side. That wall helps keep it straight. Okay, let's try another. This is a multi-step, so I'm going to simplify the right side. The left side's already simplified. If I do the distributive property on the right side with 6, then I will have 6 times 1k is 6k. 6 times 4 is 24, and the minus k. Now I did not change this one to adding the opposite. I left it a subtract sign. And that's okay. Just be sure that you know the sign of the 6 and the sign of the 4. Wherever that 24 is, there either needs to be an adding the opposite, so like adding a negative 24, or it needs to be a subtract sign in front. Either is okay. Now I see some like terms. 6k minus k is 5k, and also bring down the minus 24. Now you have a two-step equation. If you remove what's furthest first, we're going to have to add 24 to both sides. That'll give us 36 on the left side equals 5k. To undo multiplication, I can divide. I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So the right side still has the k, and 5 divided by 5 is 1. On the left side, 36 divided by 5 is 7 and 1/5. Alright, this may be the last one. Negative 1/2 x minus 9 equals negative 11. Draw your wall. Now remove what's furthest from the variable. And the furthest thing from the variable but still on the same side as the variable is the 9. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. If you add 9 to both sides, you'll have negative 1/2 x equals negative 2. Your 9's went away to 0. To undo the negative 1/2 x, you can either divide both sides by negative half, because it's multiplied after all, or you can multiply by its reciprocal, which would be negative 2 over 1. So I'm going to look at it as multiplication and divide by that coefficient. If you divide the left side by negative 1/2, you'll get a positive 1x. If you divide the right side by negative 1/2, negative 2 divided by negative half is going to be a positive 4. To check that, you can plug the 4 back into the original x, and if you plug it in, negative 1/2 times 4 is going to be negative 2 minus 9 equals negative 11, and it sure does. Negative 11 equals negative 11. Alright guys, this was a long one. Watch any part of